We're joined now by Bert Williams. He's the head football coach at Georgia Military College. A couple of WVU signees played for him this past year. And, Coach, thanks for joining us. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. Appreciate y'all asking me to come on tonight.
Yeah, glad to have you on here. WVU got a couple of pleasant surprises on signing day as Brandon Golson and Mario Alford both switched from Arizona to West Virginia. What was your take on those two making that switch? Obviously, new West Virginia assistant Tony Gibson, the key, but why did they ultimately decide to follow him?
Oh, I think it was just the relationship they had built with Tony, was the biggest thing. To get them to change over. Sometimes, they look at closeness to home and all that, but, once you get past a couple hours of driving, there probably isn't that big a difference, to be honest with you. But, it's a great program, obviously. We've actually driven through there with our team on the way up to play up north from time to time over the years. So actually this group hadn't seen the place until they visited, but, our guys know about the quality of that program and they knew Tony and, when Tony got him to get up there and come visit, it's hard not to like what y'all have going up there in Morgantown.
How late in the process was it before they ultimately made that decision? Was it just before, or was it something they kind of knew a few weeks ahead of time?
Well, I think Brandon made the decision a little sooner than Mario did. I think Mario was kind of, he was going back and forth, and it was a little bit harder for him. We do things a little bit differently at Georgia Military College. We really encourage our guys to not commit until they are 100% sure. No wavering, no anything else. So we really discourage decommitting, at any point in the process, but we also try to coach them through. How things go on the visits and all that type of stuff, and just really be ready to make a commitment when they're 100% in there. So, and I think that weighed on both of them. I think maybe Mario a little bit more, because he did have a good relationship with the rest of the Arizona staff out there. He liked what they were going to do with him on offense. And I'm sure there's going to be some similarities in the way he would be utilized up there in West Virginia. But, I think Mario warred with it, up until the last day or two beforehand. But it was, when it all came down to it, it was a little bit easier, I think, for his mom to get up there. So I think that kind of pushed him over the edge.
Coach, in terms of ability of both players, obviously much different positions, but sort of a key theme when you talk to at least the West Virginia coaches about both, and it comes down to speed. Alford, extremely quick, extremely fast for a slot receiver, running back guy, and the same for Golson for a linebacker. Is that your opinion as well?
Absolutely. I mean, Mario will be one of the fastest guys, I would think, in college football. He is a true 4.3 flat guy. And a lot of people say it, but not many are. But he can really go, and he goes from woe to go in a heartbeat. It doesn't take him a long time to get to that top speed, and he showed that time and time again. And he's got exceptional ball skills as well as a receiver, both out of the backfield and lining up in the slot. So, that's going to be a big part of what he does. He can get people outflanked in a hurry when you motion him back in, and run some of the schemes that West Virginia does. And really Brandon's the same way. Brandon most of the time would run with our secondary when we would do conditioning drills and things of that nature. He truly has DB speed in a linebacker body, and he's good when the ball's at him. And I will tell you, on the backside, he's going to cover ground a lot faster than people are going to expect when they see him out there.
Again, we're speaking with Bert Williams. He's the head football coach at Georgia Military College, where West Virginia had two signees in Brandon Golson and Mario Alford. And, Coach, obviously expectations for junior college players is immediate help. Do you think those two are going to be able to come in right away and be able to compete for playing time immediately?
I do. On the defensive side, sometimes, folks think it's a little bit harder to fit into the whole scheme. And, of course, a lot of that's, depends on how it's arranged, by the staff up there. But, Brandon's a pretty sharp guy. He certainly picked up on what we were doing. And we have for junior college maybe, I don't want to sell us short, but we have a fairly complex playbook and a lot of calls, especially for our linebackers. We have a ton of blitzes and a lot of different coverage calls. So, and he was always in the right place, made very few mental mistakes. I think he'll pick it up pretty quick. And Mario's exceptionally field smart guy as well. Just has a good feel for it. And my estimation of how West Virginia will try to use him. I mean, you can package him, fairly easily, I think. Plan to put the ball in his hands, 8 to 10 times pretty easily, and then let him grow and develop as the season goes along, if he doesn't get that whole package, quickly enough. But between that and also putting him in the return game, folk aren't going to want to kick the ball off to him because he can take that one back as well.
Hey, Coach, I was looking at the website at some of your former alumni. A couple of names jumped out to me, Jasper and Casper Brinkley, mainly because of the same position as Brandon. How does his game stack up with those two?
It's the same level, different flavor. Jasper and Casper had excellent speed, but they were also about 250 pounds. And, Jasper still, playing in the league, started most of the year up there at Minnesota. Because they were a good bit bigger than Brandon, but Brandon has a high-end speed that neither one of those guys had. But very productive, just like they were. When those guys graduated, we had 5 guys go to Division I, or 2 deep, and then the one freshman in there went to Division I the following year to Western Michigan. So we had a unbelievable group of linebackers, that year. But Brandon would have been right there in the mix with all those guys. He just has a different level of speed. From a speed perspective, probably the closest guy we've had to him would be Odell Thurman. Just being able to get off the spot and get to the tackle. He and Odell would be similar from a speed perspective.
Well, those are pretty good names, and obviously pretty good comparisons. You mentioned Mario, and you talked a little bit about how you used him, and he was more of a running back in your system, but West Virginia sounds like wants to play him a little of everywhere, some slot, a little bit of running back, like they did with Tavon Austin this year. Does that fit his skills?
Oh, it does. I mean, we kind of forced him into being a tailback in the backfield, probably more than, I don't know, some people might say more than wise, but we really want to try to develop, his running, in the box a little bit to go along with what he could do from the slot and motioning him into the backfield and putting him on the edge with the speed sweep, the read plays and things of that nature. So we really try to develop that part of the game with him, and therefore we put him back there more. But, he's an exceptional player in the slot. Again, he's a good route runner. He's got good ball skills. He can do all those things very well. And, the different things he can do really made it easy for him to be an impact player in our offense. And we had a Wildcat package with him as well, where he was back there at quarterback and running the zone read option, and even had a little pass plays for him. He throws the ball fairly well for a running back receiver guy. So, he really is a multidimensional guy, and he loves to play. I think he'll be an exciting guy to watch in Coach Holgerson's offense.
Let me ask you a question about an opponent. See how good your memory is. You guys played Lackawanna College this past year, got a victory in a high-scoring game, but one of the players for Lackawanna that had a pretty big game was a wide receiver that's going to be a teammate of Golson and Alford, Kevin White. What do you remember of him? Any recollection of him? And give us your analysis of him if you do.
Oh, I thought Kevin was a heck of a player. He was a guy that we saw on film, and we felt like we were going to match up pretty well with him at corner. Of course, we were young. We had a bunch of rookie guys out there, but he played well against us. Had big plays, had several big plays, and he's deceptively fast. He's a little bit faster than we thought he was when we got out there on the field, but a great competitor out there. And I think y'all got a really good one in him. But Coach Dude out there at Lackawanna does a great job of that program. Those guys, they come to play, all of them. We've had a great rivalry with them over the last 6-7 years and all that. So, we actually had a chance to play in last couple of years at Carter Finley Stadium up there. We may have to work something out with Coach Holgerson to play halfway in West Virginia. Of course,
Yeah,
I didn't
right.
halfway. That's a little bit more on me than would be Coach Duda there.
Yeah,
a
but
little closer for Coach Duda.
Yeah, but you guys aren't flying. That's a bus ride. That's at least 6 hours, I would imagine. So yeah, that would work.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be too bad, actually, to be honest with you. Some of the trips we take are quite lengthy. We made a bus trip up to Dean in Massachusetts, and that's the longest time I ever been or want to be in a moving vehicle. I can tell you that.
Hey, how many players do you usually produce to the D1 level? I know you mentioned 5 there in one of your classes, but what's an average typically for you?
I mean, we usually end up somewhere in the upper teens, going Division I in any given class. I think the biggest group we had was a 24, 25,
Wow.
26, somewhere through
Yeah.
their mid-20s. It just depends. This was a small class for us this year. I got a little class heavy several years ago, so my freshman class was really pretty big this year. And we only had 14 guys that actually played for us on the field the previous year, and then we had some one-year guys, some transfers, and some guys that redshirted and moved on. But as well, but we only had I think 20 guys total in this class, which included a couple of walk-ons. So, we've got a really big class this year, and that kind of we're talented, and it's exciting for next year. But we had to really ask a lot of some guys that we weren't planning on asking so much of so early. So the usual year, though, we have somewhere in the mid-20s coming out, and usually upper teens, close to 20 to Division I level.
Okay, one final question then. Your quarterback this year is going to Georgia State, where West Virginia will play this year.
Yeah.
I guess we might as well get an early analysis.
Let's get a scouting report here.
How good is he? What's West Virginia going to see?
I'm going to tell you what, he is an excellent quarterback, and he gets rid of the ball faster than anybody I've ever been around. And certainly I haven't been around as many as Coach Holgerson and some of those others, but came up GAing at Georgia when Eric Zier was there, and his ability to get the ball out of his hands, off the shotgun to the receiver on target in time, really was amazing for a freshman coming out of high school. And he allowed us to do some things in the passing game that we'd not been able to do because he was so quick on the release and so quick on the read. And it's especially important for him because, he wasn't a great runner with the ball. But, the rush really didn't get to him a whole lot because the ball was out, in a hurry. So, he certainly made life easier on our linemen. And, when those receivers, if they're getting to their spots in time and doing what they're supposed to do, West Virginia's defense better be ready because he can sure deliver the ball out there too.
He and Brandon may have a couple of meetings, I would imagine, in Mountaineer Field in a few months.
Yeah. Well, good deal, Coach. Appreciate the time and the insight. Looking forward to getting them both up here, and we'll make some phone calls. Coach Hunter will make some calls. We'll try and get that Lackawanna
Absolutely
game set up for you there.
That'd be fine. You guys can broker that right away, and we'll make it work.
We'll get right on that. Well, thank you, Coach. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Good luck to y'all. We'll see you.
There you go. That's Bert Williams, head football coach at Georgia Military College.